So much fun. I'm so glad you don't get to hear it. I'm so glad that you don't get to hear a lot of things. I'm so glad that we're not here like a week ago on Tuesday when I was thinking about doing a comedy show. That was the night of the election, in case you've forgotten. I see not many of you have heard of it. I've seen a lot of blank faces. It had Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, J.D. Vance, some other guy. A lot of people were not happy with how it turned out. I'm not happy with how it turned out because it means that if this whole comedy thing fails, my next best option is to move to Florida and start scamming old people with cryptocurrency. I'm not looking forward to it. Someday they'll appoint me to be Secretary of Labor. I'm not even American. It's gonna suck. It's gonna not be fun for me at all as I'm raking in billions of dollars with Republican trading cards or whatever. And nobody's really getting that upset. We all seem fairly chill, you know? It's hard, because it used to be that it was so easy to make plans, right? We used to all have friends and hang out and do stuff. And nowadays, it's so hard to find an Airbnb in Virginia for early January. You know, I'm just looking for 10 bedrooms, hot tub, shooting range. Now, anybody here trying to plan a cabin weekend with some friends right now? Anybody in the same boat as me? Woo! Oh, yeah. Nick, hi. I couldn't even see you. He's in the same group chat. We haven't talked about this weekend. Nick, have we given up?
Yes.
Just like politics. Beautiful. Well, are you ready for your first apolitical, maybe, I don't know. Definitely good at planning though, your first comic making her second trip to the stage. The Real Students Comedy Club. Give it up massive for my good friend, Hannah Salkovitz.
Hi guys, I'm so happy to be back. I hope no one's had a life-changing past 2 weeks. that'd be awful. Want to hear my right-wing conspiracy theory? I think the election's my fault. Fun fact, the day before, I don't remember the day, but I got fired from my job. And don't feel bad, it was a bubble tea shop. I fucked up the easiest job in the universe, but I screamed to the universe, can it get worse? And cartoon logic proved me right, because it did. I also got a 60 on my bedroom, but it's fine. I honestly wanted this to not be a political set, so I have another political story to cleanse your palate. When I was 13, my cousin took me to my first Pride Parade. It was awesome. I saw my first pair of titties, my first pair of man titties, my first pair of non-binary titties. I had the whole LGBTQ, okay? It was awesome. And I don't know if your guys' Pride Parades have this, but at the end, of the floats, Justin Trudeau shows up. I don't think if you're from America, I know Justin Trudeau's there. Yeah, just some random Canadian guy. He comes here sometimes. And also he was fully clothed, in case you're wondering. Now, Justin Trudeau, I don't know why he was there. I get he's the Prime Minister, but he's not the Prime Minister of gay people? I don't know if, of all the Canadians, why is he our representative for queer culture? Did we miss that meeting? I would literally pick anyone else. And yet we picked him. He dresses like how a 5-year-old would dress if they could be a spaceship fireman. You know what I mean? After this show, please look up what he wore to the Barbie movie. That'll be a fun treat. Now, as 13-year-old with no political opinions, I hated this guy because I got my political opinions from my American dad. And my mom only voted for him the first time because she thought he was hot. So you can tell how great their marriage is. And I was like, I want to say something. I want to fuck this guy up. But I'm 13. I don't know any swear words. Actually, that's not true. I'm kind of rebellious. I knew HE double hockey sticks. ASS ass. I'm so rebellious. So I look at him, he's on the float, he's waving, he's having a great time. The gays are go home. And I, with the confidence of a 30-year-old man, yell out into the crowd, "You're doing a mediocre job!" And then he looks at me, takes Republican, make America great again. You didn't put the whipped cream on my Frappuccino, American. When he just sees a tiny 13-year-old girl with like one free condom, how is it possible to dress up as the straightest person at Pride Parade? I was second place. Guess who the first was? Fucking Justin Trudeau. And my cousin, she was just laughing. And I was like, what do you mean you're laughing? I'm so cool, I'm so edgy. But a week later, I go to Shabbat dinner. I'm Jewish, by the way, if you couldn't tell by my sweater. My bubby bought it for me, like, flex, also. Anyway, my uncle, he pulls me aside, he's like, Hannah, you might want to start packing your things. And I'm like, why, uncle? I don't call him uncle, I'm not gonna dox him. His name is Jamie, I lied. But, he's like, you know, there's a news report that a child heckled Justin Trudeau, now the feds are looking after him. And I start freaking out, I'm like, oh no. I'm hardcore, I'm so hardcore with my Polly Pocket shoes. I'm so fucking cool. I can't go to jail. What am I gonna do in jail? There's no coloring books in prison, I think. I've never been. But he's like, he keeps hyping me up. Hyping me up, that's the right word, probably not. But he's like, Hannah, you're gonna go to jail, and you're gonna go to court, and you're gonna go to get the guillotine. And I'm like, fuck! I didn't say fuck, again, don't know curse words. I was like, shh, hacky sacks, what do I do? I was like, I gotta make a plan. I was at my bubby's house, hiding under the table with my paper. And I was like, all right, I can go to Guatemala from here, and maybe if I'm lucky, I can hide at the Mexican border. And then he's like, Hannah, I'm fucking with you. And I'm like, you bitch. But aside from that, the rest of my family's kind of normal. I lied. My sister's in the audience, she gave it away by laughing. But, they've kind of been anti-supportive of my comedy. The way that like a homophobic parent is like, I love the gays, but don't come near my house. You know what I mean? Like I laugh more at the prospect of me doing comedy than me telling jokes, you know what I mean? Like one time I told my bubby I got a job cooking with kids, and she laughed at me for 10 minutes. And I was like, Bubby, why are you laughing? She's like, you can't cook, dumbass. She didn't call me a dumbass, she's like 89. But, I told my uncle, the same uncle, his name's Jamie in case you forgot, but I told him that my sister was gonna come, and he told my sister, listen, in case she sucks, which you should never start a sentence like that to a performer, ever, but she's like, in case she sucks, you should bring some tomatoes and sell them, and give them out, so that way, you can make a little bit of money. And on the outside, I'm like, that's so rude. But on the inside, I'm like, damn, that's genius! I'm like, that's Shark Tank levels of expert, you know? Like, I'm gonna be rich. Like, finally, someone in the arts will make some money! But, hot take, my favorite person in my family is my bubby. She's the best. I love her so much. Sorry, Ava. But, she's also kind of a hater, not even gonna lie. She calls me the other day on the phone. Serious voice, dead ass. She's like, Hannah, I need you to take a boy to the movies, please. I want to see grandchildren, please. And I'm like, Bubby, please pray harder. I'm trying my best. All the boys in my program were gay or dressed like Justin fucking Trudeau. Thank you, that's my set.
If you're ever disappointed by the fashion choices of Justin Trudeau, might I interest you in the calm, constant conservative stylings of Pierre Poilievre? No, absolutely not. Just kidding. That being said, if you did end up bringing tomatoes tonight, I do ask that you try and avoid aiming them directly at most of our performers. Aiming them at me, however, is fair game. I'm the host. I'm here to do this. And also, I really want to make this sort of clarified tomato water for a cocktail called a Caprese Martini at some point, so I can just like scrape up before and do some later. And seriously, thank you so much for bringing the tomatoes. I really did. Anybody here actually bring tomatoes? Did anybody here like eat dinner? I feel like that's just getting harder and harder to. Yeah, big ones, big. Yes, yes. What'd you have for dinner?
I had a poke bowl.
You had a poke bowl. That's what Hannah's feeding you?
I paid for her dinner.
You paid for her dinner.
Our mom paid. Our mom paid. She's not paying me back. Let's be real.
iconic, clearly. Oh man, this is a fun one. We got to introduce somebody brand new to performing, brand new to the McGill Students Comedy Club stage. You might be a little confused because we have the same name, first name. We should have a slightly different last name. Give it a massive make his McGill Students Comedy Club debut. It's Charlie Clem!
What's up? Out of the way. What's up, everybody? This is my first time at a small comedy club like this. I love comedy. I would have went a lot earlier. Just I don't have a good enough laugh. Straight up. You could have told me the funniest joke that you've ever told, and you're gonna see some guy in the front row. He doesn't even fit in the chair, giving you a silent like. Anyways, my name's Charlie, you know that now. I'm a second year here at McGill. I'm a geography student. I've been doing a lot of map making recently. It's a little late to be getting into map making. They kind of figured that out centuries ago. I'm really not doing any groundbreaking work, but I love it. I think it's super awesome. I'm not like a med student or anything. I don't know if there's any med students in the crowd here tonight. But if you guys are cheating your way through your degrees like the rest of us are, we're fucked. And I can say this because I think I've witnessed the consequences of this firsthand. I love my hometown. Shout out Boston, Mass. That was more than I thought. But everyone always says that Boston has the best doctors in the world, and every time I hear that, I wonder, where was mine? I think I really missed out on that. My last physical was in the back of the CVS. And for you universal healthcare people, think of a CVS as like a dumbed down Unipre, I guess. CVS is the only place on earth where you can get your passport photo taken, buy a Viagra, and get a pack of Sour Patch Kid Oreos on the way out. So I walk in for my appointment, and we'll call her the nurse. She's a very nice woman, but we walk into the corner of the store, and she says, we're gonna start with the seeing test. Normally at a doctor's, you'd have like that machine you look into, and they'd have a bunch of letters that you're supposed to read. Immediately that's out of the picture. We're not even in a room. So she gets a little bit of tools from the corner and pulls out what looks like is like a recycled like spanking paddle for it, and there's 6 handwritten letters on the paddle, and my task is to read them, obviously. It really would have been an issue if I could not do this. I did pass. You guys can hold your applause. No big deal. After the scene test, it was time for reflexes. Now, she was all over the place. She was going up top here, on the right, a couple just down. She couldn't get it. She was a very nice woman, this nurse, but this was not her strong suit. Normally, like a standard doctor, they hit you once on the knee, it goes. She opted for a different approach. She was going like up, down, left. It's like she's doing like a cheat code or something to try to get my knee to move. A little unorthodox, I respect it though. And I had kind of had it on about hit number 10 on my knee. I eventually just gave her like a pity shake. Contrary to that, I think I have reflexes, but I haven't been back to the doctor. So. And after reflexes, the final part was the hearing test. And in our trusty little bin of tools in the corner of the CVS, I do not see any headphones or anything that could even resemble a hearing test. So I'm on the edge of my seat, and she tells me, I'm going to walk 3 paces in the other direction, and I'm going to whisper a number, and you're going to tell me what it is. 37. Is it 37? I think I heard 37. Yup, hearing is perfect. Absolutely, you nailed it. And that's all I needed. That is all the state needed to prove that I was a healthy adult man. Is CVS and their 3 little requirements and their bin of tools. And if you Canadians were ever thinking, I don't like universal health care, I think I could be getting more from my system, let that story serve as a reminder of what you're missing out on. That's my time. Thank you guys, everybody.
Well, if you're not at the back, then please give it up huge for our next comic. Also, making her debut tonight, it's Olivia Morawetz.
You guys ever notice that like the way that someone holds a mic up on stage like completely changes the vibe? Like if I hold it down at the bottom, like I actually look like a comedian, you know? But if I hold it at the top, now I'm a rapper. I'm about to start rhyming up here. But it doesn't really matter which way I pick, because either way it looks like I'm about to say something controversial that I'm going to regret for the rest of my life. So I won't be doing that, hopefully. But if any of you did come here tonight to hear something controversial, I got one for you. You ready? I don't drink. I know. It's crazy. It's not much of a surprise to a lot of people, because you can tell from a mile away that I'm a huge loser. Like, a crazy night for me is splurging on a bottle of San Pellegrino and a bag of name brand chips. But these pop and chip nights can get pretty crazy. Yeah. But the fact that I don't drink was particularly interesting to this one guy earlier this year. I mentioned this fun fact about myself, and he looked at me like bewildered. And he was like, so if you don't drink, like, what do you do? Do you have a vice or anything? And first of all, I was like, vice? We're using big boy words? Okay. And then I was like, not really knowing what he wanted me to respond with, I was like, no, I don't like do drugs or like drink or anything. And the look this man gave me, it was as if he'd never heard the word sober in his entire life. It was like the look that a sane person would give me if I had been like, yeah, like I shoot heroin every Tuesday at 5 p.m. What about it? So suffice to say, he's not invited to my next pop and chip night. I think he would ruin the vibe. But if you're wondering what I get up to at these pop and chip nights, that's so crazy. Other than relishing how cool I am, obviously, it's mostly scrolling on Instagram. And as I was scrolling on Instagram the other day, I saw this post that said, if your major ends with the word studies, then your opinion doesn't matter. It's a useless degree. And as a philosophy major, I completely agree. Okay guys, you're gonna have to hear me out on this one. Majors are kind of like star signs. No matter what yours is, if you tell somebody, there's always gonna be that one person that's like, I knew it. You were totally giving philosophy energy. Makes me wonder how far they're gonna go with it. Like if they're gonna have a friend that runs up to me and is like, yes, I burnt my toast this morning, which was a sign from the universe that you're burnt out from writing so many essays. Oh my god, yeah, like, oh my god, my hair was greasy this morning. Obviously, Greece, ancient Greece. You're being forced to study ancient Greece, I knew it. Anyway, so my Starbucks barista fucked up my order this morning, which was a sign from the universe that you're in a useless degree that's gonna leave you working as a barista in 4 years. For the record, I could never be a Starbucks barista. I would be shoving lemon loaf and Kit Kats in my bag every night. I'd be too tempted. That's why I'm gonna end up as a bartender instead, because they're way cooler, and I wouldn't be tempted to steal what I'm selling. But as I'm working on that useless degree, something weird keeps happening where I kind of see my professors like celebrities. I think it has something to do with the fact that I only ever see them on a stage or on a screen that makes me feel like office hours are actually just a Vsauce meet and greet. But I did probably take it a little bit too far this one time when my professor mentioned that he wrote a book, and I took it upon myself to buy the book and get it signed. It's not my fault, you know, it was one of those online chem classes. So when I finally met the guy, I felt like I just talked to Hank Green. Like, it was really embarrassing though. I walked in there and I was like, I'm such a huge fan of your work. Like, I'm taking the advanced version of this class next year. Oh my god, it was so embarrassing. And it made me look insane. And I swear, I'm just insanely nerdy. But speaking of nerds, I love the logic in kid shows. Like when they have a smart character that's just spits random bullshit that sounds sciencey. Like, yes, Bartholomew, I'm sure the square root of pi is gonna solve for the trajectory of that slice of cake through space-time or whatever. But I want to be able to spit random bullshit and have it solve all my problems too. But no, I have to abide by the laws of physics and the law. But yes, Brody, winning the homecoming game will make your parents get back together. That's how it works. That's how it works. Speaking of kids shows, let's talk about my childhood. Yeah. I had this stuffed sheep as a kid named Lammy, which was short for lamb chop, which, by the way, is very morbid. Like, can you imagine a kid coming up to you and being like, "This is my stuffed sheep, lamb chop, and this is my Barbie, human flesh." I never really established like a gender for Lammy, because Lemmy didn't like trucks, so clearly born a boy. And Lemmy didn't have emotions, so clearly wasn't a girl. So I just kind of flip-flopped between calling Lammy he or she, depending on how I was feeling about it. Like, if they were nice to me, I let them have a taste of the patriarchy for a little bit. Okay, alright, him, you can have it. If they were mean to me, I'd be like, alright, now you can't drive. But I never really established a gender for him. And eventually I grew out of this phase and I was able to enter into the world of social media, where I was introduced to people who actually do identify with like different gender expressions and prefer to be called he or she at like different times. And when I was introduced to this, I just sat there bewildered. Like, oh my god, these people stole my idea. So if any of you in the crowd identify as genderqueer, it's 2024, I know some of you do. You can thank Lammy for doing it first. Or you can thank me for inventing it. Yeah, might have been gay people tomorrow, depending on how I'm feeling. I'll update you guys at the next show, I'll let you know if I did it. Thank you.
I want to give this next comic a special introduction because he just told me he was pregnant last night. It's slowly dawning on him that this is a thing he did, and I wanted to remind him right now, right before he gets on stage. But no, this is our next comic's first time performing a set at the McGill Students Comedy Club. Can I get a big awe from the audience for that? Aww. Yeah, psych! It's because he's hosted every other goddamn show. Please give it up huge for my best friend, for your friend, Gabe Karasik!
Guys, keep it going for Charlie. He's doing a great job. I gave over the reins and he's been killing it. Hello, my name is Gabe. I've hosted all these other shows. It's really exciting to be up here performing, finally. I'm 22 years old, which is not a huge deal. Nobody gives a shit. We all know that's Taylor Swift's age, so it's not mine. But it's a big deal to me, because when I was 19, I was in the emergency room twice, like basically back to back for shockingly similar reasons. I didn't think I was going to make it to 22. The first time, it's because I thought I was shitting blood. Turns out, hemorrhoids, and maybe anxiety, which is fair. The second time, though, is about a month and a half later, I was actually pissing blood. Now, I Googled dick hemorrhoids. They don't exist. So I was like, justifiably, this is an emergency. Now, the problem with emergency rooms, and nobody's talking about this, the problem with the ER is that it does not matter how bad of a situation you think you have, they've seen worse, and they're gonna make you feel bad about it. Like, I walked in there, I was so confident. I went straight to triage, I was like, excuse me, I would like to see a doctor, please. There's an excessive amount of blood in my urine. And the nurse went, excessive? How much? Which threw me. I mean, if I were to ask you, for example, how much blood is an excessive amount of blood to be in your urine? Any is the, yes, that's what I thought was the correct answer as well. Apparently I was wrong. So I was like, well, all of it is dark red and cloudy. And she said, anything else? You needed more? I just told you I got my first period. I thought that'd be cause enough for concern. And she goes, well, did you experience any pain? And like, no, actually, which was weird. But it did happen into a urinal in the first floor Trottier bathroom. And there were 5 other guys in there. And when I went to flush, it didn't drain. So while technically, no, there wasn't any physical pain, emotionally, yeah, lots. She wasn't moved. I didn't see a doctor in the ER that day. Instead, they sent me to another hospital 40 minutes away. And when I got there, the first thing they did was say, hey, we need to take a urine sample. Sure. And then they walked me over to a bathroom in the middle of the waiting room and hand me a transparent plastic cup which is the medical equivalent of getting up on stage and telling a room full of strangers that your pee is the wrong primary color. Only worse, because this is free. I had to pay them. Anyway, eventually I get to see a doctor. He asks me to take off my underwear. He starts diddling my balls a little bit. So they ask us to leave the waiting room, which was fair. And he starts asking me questions, right? He's trying to get to the bottom of this. He's like, well, could it be kidney stones? And I was like, no, doctor, there wasn't any pain, and I drink a lot of water. And he goes, well, could it be UTI? And I said, no, doctor, there wasn't any pain, and I drink a lot of water. And he said, well, could it be an STI? And I said, no, doctor, I've never had sex. Which is not what he asked. And I don't know that I can quite describe the feeling of watching your doctor experience pain during your checkup. As he realizes that this is probably the most action I've ever gotten. He doesn't know what's wrong with me, so he sends me to get an ultrasound. Now, obviously, I've just had my first period, and as we all know, I was a virgin. So while I may be pregnant now, I was definitely not pregnant then, so they sent me for an MRI. And the tests for that come back inconclusive, and so they do one more. They sent me for something called a LASIK exam, which I was disappointed to find out does absolutely fuck all for your vision. And it happens in a section of the hospital called the Nuclear Medicine Department, which is fucking terrifying. So anyway, what happens is, if you're not familiar with the LASIK exam, because nobody is, basically Dr. Oppenheimer comes in and they inject you with a bunch of stuff that makes you want to pee so bad your penis explodes, and that's how they test your kidneys or something. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention, I had to pee real bad. Anyway, a few months later, I have an appointment booked with my urologist to go over the follow-up results for all of this. And a couple of days before that appointment, it's October 24th, the appointment is on October 26th. The morning of October 24th, I get an email from the hospital with an intake questionnaire. Standard procedure, right? I click on the link, and it takes me to a website called cancerhealth.ontario.ca. to a portal called Isaac that asks you to fill in the symptoms for the cancer you already have so that they can design a treatment plan. 2 days later, I get a call from the urologist. And he goes, hey man, I looked at your results. Everything looks good. You should be totally fine for the next 20 years. So just drink a lot of water, and I hope this doesn't happen again. All right, bye. And I was like, no, hang on, motherfucker. You told me I had cancer. This can't be how we're telling people. It'd be like going to, finding out your mom was dead because you get a call from the funeral home, right? Like, that's not how this works. And he goes, what? Oh, no, that wasn't me. It must have been a bug in the system. Anyway, see ya. Hangs up the phone. So now on my resume, it says world record holder, the fastest time ever to beat cancer, 48 hours. And if any of my employers question it, I just go, what? Oh, no, that wasn't me. Must have been a bug in the system. Thank you so much. You guys have been incredible.
Our next comic, it's her second time on stage this year. We're so lucky to have her back. Please give a warm welcome to Katherine Wilson-Smith, everybody.
I've been looking around this evening, and there's quite a lot of cool women in the audience, which is great. I love a cool girl. But I could never be a cool girl, is what I've discovered, because there's just so many things that you're just expected to just be cool with. Like, I was at a friend's house for dinner, and she was like, we're going to say grace, and I was like, that's fine. And then I was not so cool with saying grace. I was not cool with the summoning of the Holy Spirit that followed. The woman next to me is holding my hand, she's vibrating, speaking in tongues, and I'm thinking, should I be speaking in tongues? Is it rude not to speak in tongues if everyone else is doing it? But that's insincere, right, to speak in tongues if you're not being possessed by the Holy Spirit. What if that happens 3 seconds later? This is a metal way to find out that God exists. I'm just getting possessed, I'm like, oh my God, I was wrong. So I wasn't really cool with that. I do think that I had a fair point there. I think the main reason that I'm not particularly cool is because I'm a bit dramatic. Recently, I walked into a bathroom and I opened the door really violently and a bunch of paper towels fell straight out of the dispenser just into the bin. And my first thought was, there can't be a God. No benevolent God would allow that many paper towels to fall into the bin. Look at the waste. It can't be this, it just can't be a God. At that moment I realised that, yeah, maybe I'm a bit dramatic. This didn't happen in Leacock, but I do think that Leacock by far is the most depressing building in the whole of McGill.
My one solace is the stairs. I always walk up the stairs before my seminar because it's the time I get to just be alone. I don't use the lift. The lift is for adults. Lifts are for adults who have no other joy in their lives and want the 5 minutes of small talk you get just before you get to where you're going. I don't need that yet. I have a closure of small talk and I use it outside the class waiting to go in. I don't want to talk to the people in my class beforehand. If we get stuck in the lift, imagine, either we get amazing class boarding or we get 3 murders by the time we get out of there. And I've got someone in my class here tonight, so apologies. But sometimes I see the people from my class coming as I'm panting from the stairs and they're all laughing to each other and I think, did I just walk up 6 flights of stairs to avoid other people's joy? Now, I did used to want to create joy for people. When I was younger, I wanted to be a comic book illustrator. Now, I can't draw, so my mum sent me to classes at the community centre, and I came up with this superhero who I'm still super proud of. His name is Falling Down a Mine Man. It wasn't a superhero name in class, it's about drawing. Now, he was a man until one day he fell down a mine. But this wasn't like a workplace accident. No. He was walking along the street and something might have fell down it. He could involuntarily spawn mines. Now, this is a power that he learned to harness over time. Took him a bit of time, but now he's part of a superhero squad. He grabs the bad guy, they fall down a mine together. All the rest of the superhero squad do is just rescue him from the mine afterwards because he's not getting out of a mine, man. He can only fall down it. Getting out is a whole different kettle of fish. Getting out of it is, I think this has a reason though, because when you think about it, the best way to prevent crime is to make crime so inconvenient as to make another inconvenience that makes the crime so inconvenient that the crime pales in comparison. A good example of this, I think, is the question that you have to use for Interact e-transfer. That's a very similar concept, because I can't remember what I set when I was transferring that money. How does anyone else remember that? I think I have a little suggestion for Canadian banks. I know I haven't been here long, it's my audacity of being from a colonialist country. But I think that we could do something different. I think for Interact, we need riddles. When's the last time that you answered a riddle? Not recently. Imagine having to answer what goes up but never down. Just to get like £2 off someone that, like, £2? Who's transferring you pounds from a Canadian bank? $2. Just to get $2 someone owes you for coffee. The decline of the riddle industry is one of the saddest things about society we now live in. Like, when's the last time someone posed you a riddle? It was some kind of goblin you hallucinated. Like, I think this is one of the main failings we have, because I think riddles are really the answer to a lot of our other problems. For example, the rise of AI. We're worried about how intelligent robots are. Do you think a robot can answer a riddle? Do they have lateral thinking? I don't think so. I think this is how we deal with the recapture, am I a robot question. Say your little riddle, pass the riddle, you're in. I don't see anything wrong with this. I think this is the perfect solution to all of our problems. Because robots, they just don't have the same intelligence that we do. A robot could not survive a troll under a bridge the same way we could. Now, there is one thing that I think a robot might be better at, and that is putting some paper towels falling into a bin in a little bit more perspective than I could. Thank you, guys.
Look, I don't know much about paper towels. I do know about the, toilet paper dispensers in the bathrooms here. I don't know if you've had a chance to sort of reach behind you and just like swirl, sort of lift some toilet paper up off for reasons. Anyway, I was thinking some more about concert merch while I was sitting over at the side, and I nearly missed out on a major merch opportunity that's coming up. If you're a concert merch addict like I am, you'll know this one. I was going to go to a thing called the Eras Tour. Has anybody here heard of it? Yeah, okay, cool. So people have, no, it's a bit of a thing. And I got tickets. By winning the lottery, like the old-fashioned way. I won the lottery. I bought tickets for November 22nd, and then I didn't look at my syllabi. My prof scheduled a midterm for November 22nd. So if anybody's looking for tickets to see the Eras, I'm just kidding. I talked to my prof. I got that midterm delayed. I told him what it was for, and he said, "That's fine, you'll write it later." Yeah, I'll take the applause. That's awesome. So, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going home for it. I'm going with my brother. It'll be so nice. And I mentioned that I've got, I own a lot of concert merch. So I had to figure out what shirt am I going to wear to the Eras tour. And I figured it out, actually. I'm wearing it tonight. Do you want to see the shirt I'm wearing to the Eras tour? For those of you who don't know about the 1975, earlier tonight I suggested that I might go run cryptocurrency scams on old people in Florida, and this is significantly worse. This will get us all killed. But in the meantime, are you ready to see another comic kill tonight? It's his debut on the MSCC stage. Please give it up big. He's becoming part of the Air Force and part of the band. It's David Lee, everybody!
Hi. Okay, Hannah let me have a little bit of a cider with chicken face, so it's safe to say I'm kind of fucked up. Yeah. Okay. You know what else I have? ADHD. You know what the worst part about having ADHD is? Oh yeah! You know what the worst part is, besides not being able to sit down and read anything to my classes, and not being able to sit down and listen to anything to my lectures, and not being able to remember the third thing on this list is? It's that I'm always talking too loud. You know what's like having ADHD? The guy speaking's like, "May I have your attention, please?" And you're just like, Okay, but coincidentally, now, and perhaps the most tragic coincidence that had ever coincided, I don't think before I speak. Okay, remember in elementary school they taught us social skills and whether it was a social filter, think before we speak. Well, guess who had ADHD and couldn't sit down and listen to that lecture? This guy. So not only do I talk too loud, I talk too loud about speaking, and you can imagine what kind of shit that gets me into. And it's like, how do you fuck up talking? It's like driving a train. Just don't crash and burn, and if you keep going, you're fine. But, okay, you make it to a station, you check your phone, you look around at that baby, like, licking shit off the floor. You start zoning out, and suddenly you're getting rear-ended by the next train, who is at its scheduled arrival time an hour after yours. And also there's a fire, because a train crash needs a fire. Okay, you might not have crashed, but you better believe it's burning. There's some pretty crispy screams of terror going on back there. Give me a gold star because these passengers are well done. Okay, now picture this. I'm 15 years old. I'm working at a pizza place. Little Caesars. Anyone heard of it? Yeah, let's go. Okay. Yeah, there's one in the south tip of Montreal, and that's it. The next closest one is all the way over in Mascouche. Whatever the hell that is. Have any of you met anyone from Mascouche? It's not a real place. Like, you've heard of Narnia, you've heard of Hogwarts, you've heard of, like, Prince Edward Island. It's propaganda. Okay, I'm 15. My parents know the boss, so this is technically child labor, allegedly. It's the middle of a Saturday afternoon and it's slow as hell. I'm super bored. I'm cutting pizzas. This printer spits out another order slip, I tear it off, and I see the guy's name. And when I tell you what this guy's name was. Now, keep in mind, this is a pretty small pizza place. There's basically nothing separating where the customers wait and where we make the food. My coworkers are talking in a little like clump behind me, and I wanted to join and go at full volume. Yo, is this guy's name Grinder? This guy's name is Grinder? But no, apparently it isn't. My coworker tells me to shut the fuck up, and he looks out and apologizes to him. I look out too. He is the only person in that waiting area. His head is in his hands. I don't know if he's laughing or crying. I don't know which one would be worse. You know what is worse? His name isn't Grinder, it's Grinder. Spelt G-O-I-N-D-E-R. That's not even hard to pronounce like most Gaelic names, or Kaylee with an E-I-G-H. Do I have any Kayleys with an E-I-G-H in the crowd today? Okay! And it's like, that's just kind of unfortunate. I did feel bad for the guy. Now 3 months pass, the seasons change, I'm in a whole different grade, I've gotten over it. My manager comes up to me and she's like, so, David? Someone called to complain about you. And I, clueless, I'm like, huh? And she's like, yeah, they said you were like making fun of like the word or the name. Oh my god, it's Grinder. Why did it take him 3 months to call back? How many places did he have to call back for it? It takes 3 months to reach us. How many places? Because if I get disrespected like that, that's a later than I get back sort of call, not a 3 months later sort of call. Imagine something like Starbucks, the barista has ADHD. Grinder? Venti Colati for Grinder? Unwritten importance. And from what I've heard, shit's bad if you've gotta go to Tim Hortons for a coffee. Okay, that train crash from earlier, he's a passenger in that train. They're pulling him out of the fire on a stretcher. And they're looking for his ID. It's like, yo, this guy's named Grinder, and his voice all, his eyes open like Squidward. After he like wakes up inside SpongeBob SquarePants, and he's like, just put me back in the damn fire. And then he goes into shock. And none of the paramedics know this because I'm the paramedic, and I'm ADHD, I'm zoning out. And I'm crashing another train inside my head as we speak. Oh yes, thank you.
Yes! Oh man, I loved hearing that there were no people with the name Grinder in the house or any of those other. We got any, I just want to test one. We got a Saoirse in the house? We got a Killian in the house? Do you have anybody with a Gaelic name in the house? Do you have anybody with like a British name in the house? Excellent. Finally getting him. No Gaelic names. We gotta start doing something to court the Irish here. And finally, I get to the part where I get to introduce the next comic, your final comic of the night, your headliner. You've seen her on this stage. Please welcome Natalie Chang, everybody.
I've not been here many times. This is our second show at this venue, but whatever. I've been calling my mom a lot recently. It's like free therapy, except for instead of addressing my mommy issues, we just relive them. I've been thinking about going back to real therapy, but when my mother pities me, she sends me her PC Optimum points, and when my therapist pities me, she sends me an invoice. But my mother is full of great advice. I remember in my first week at McGill, I had told her I had accidentally went home with a 23-year-old, and she informed me, you can't be a victim if you don't want to be. So I'm just gonna assume that that's empowering. She told me last week that I need to stop entertaining men, and I'm like, they are not amused, Mom. I'm actually filming this, gonna send it to my mom. Guys in the front row, no laughing, no entertainment here, 0. I don't think that I entertain men, I think that I provoke them. And not in like a sex way, I just mean I piss them off a little bit. I think they think that if I piss them off, maybe I'll piss on them, but I won't. Okay. Do you know how insulting it is to hear, I can fix her? I hate that was my next line. Because I don't have any problem with the insinuation that I'm broken. We can move past that. But what's upsetting is, if I can't fix me, then how can you, a frat guy with a 2.3 GPA, bring anything new to the table? Anyway, I think that in high school, I had never really been into anyone that I wasn't smarter than, but now being here, not the case anymore, and I can't tell if that's just because my high school was a little bit stupid, or if it's because now I exclusively want to sleep with my professors. All of my friends in high school, none of them went to university, some of them didn't graduate. This is really surprising to a lot of people. They're like, really? You had friends in high school? I used to be pretty insufferable, and you're thinking, used to be? Shut up. But I found a really fun hack for dealing with to bear my own unbearability, and that is a little secret called club inclusivity policies. Okay, why do you think I joined improv? I said, hey, I want to join, and they couldn't say no, because the first rule of improv is yes and. So. Being involved in clubs, you meet a lot of variety of people, and so I've been hanging out with TAs recently, except for they're not TAs for my classes, so I don't get a grade boost. Instead, all I get is just a reminder that I'm stupid. I went out with one recently, and I think that if I can't sleep with my professor, I guess I'll sleep with my professor's PhD student. I didn't. I'm honestly kind of anti the idea of like dating within clubs. I think that club obsessed, not really my thing. It's like, we're all family, guys. I do think that it would technically be iffy to ever ask out anyone in an improv club because the rules are yes and. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm just not looking for a relationship right now. New choice! I just got in a relationship. New choice! I'm gay. New choice! I have communication issues. That one doesn't really seem to be a deal breaker for people, though. I guess, whatever. That's my time. Thank you for bearing with me.
I saw my therapist a couple hours ago. That's when I last saw him, and it was needed. But you know what? It's only the second best conversation I've had today, after the lovely conversation I got to have with all of you. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. I hope you had a wonderful time. We will see you again in 2 weeks at Theater St. Catherine